What up? It's Neighborhood Nip Hustle. I'm locked in with my homie Nick on HardknockTV.
Yeah, it's a moment this special. It's what happens. Stay down, the game bless you. It's what happens. Don't fold, the game test you. If you pass it, you gone, they can't catch you when it's permanent. I've been down, I deserve this shit.
For someone who's kind of seen the industry from a lot of different angles, you're able to kind of build your brand without necessarily the traditional tools. It wasn't necessarily radio that built you. It was kind of a ground up. What kind of advice would you have to, you know, the young guys right now in the industry who are kind of looking to figure out how to create their own lane?
Man, honestly, it's hard to just give, like, you know, blanket advice to, like, here's what you should do. But I'll be like, you know, master the craft. You know what I'm saying? After all the strategies wear off and all the approaches, you know what I'm saying, get tried, everybody gonna realize it's about the music. You know what I'm saying? It's about what level the music vibrate on.
Something that you talk a lot about in your rhymes is owning your rhymes,
right.
Owning your masters.
Right. Yeah, especially, I mean, streaming right now is more important than ever. Just because, like, you know, it's a lot of money in streaming. And especially when you drop a popular project or a big song, if you get the back end of that, you know, that's real money. The value of the song over the lifetime of the song is hard to even calculate. You know what I'm saying? When the records are successful and or even just viral and they trending on the mixtape level, that the streaming turns over. So if you can, stay in control, you know, of your masters as long as you can, because you will love to have a catalog. That's the best thing I had, is that, you know, I got a catalog of music that, you know, is streamed every month. And you know what I mean? We involved in that. So I got to see it from that level. When everybody's complaining about streaming, I'm like, you know, I don't understand that. Because, you know, I see it from a level of like a business whose products stream. And from that perspective, it look good. If I was just a business and the product I was streaming was a different artist, the artist might feel different than I feel, because he's seeing the streaming from whatever his agreement with the company is. But the actual pot is a nice pot.
Right. They're just not getting a big chunk of that pot.
Yeah, and you know, that's all based on how they negotiate it.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But, you know, it's a nice pot. So to own the masters is very critical, you know, if you can. You know, when you, as an artist, until you sign a contract, you own your masters. And even when you do, you know, it's contracts that you can sign where you still own your masters. That's definitely the cornerstone to, you know, maximizing the value. Is try to maintain the ownership of the master.
Speaking of maximizing value, you had a line about Ross.
Yeah.
And you said you appreciate that Ross is teaching wealth.
Yeah. You know, I feel like that's what you're supposed to do. You know, I look at moves from the outside looking in. The message that, you know, Ross sprinkle in, or even when they don't sprinkle it, say it outright. I think that's the most empowering message right now, you know. So I just, again, all the writing on the album came out natural, but I felt like I wanted to just speak to that. We inspired by that as the next generation under that era. It's also young kids that's being molded by what's being said in rap music. So, you know, it's a line between preaching and just keeping it a thousand and being thorough. And so, yeah, I was just tipping my hat to something I think is thorough.
What do you think are the keys to building wealth?
Man, I think that it's a formula, and then it's also some things that's intangible. To own something is very important. To understand investment, you know, to understand living within your means or under your means, you know, to understand how to make something, you know. I think that's what's been critical for me, is I make something. I take something from zero and I make it, which is music. And that's a very powerful tool, to be able to like come into a room and create something out of nothing. And so that's worked for me. But then there's people that, you know, master that part of the game, but consume so fast that it's hard to even get ahead. So it's a combination of things, and I ain't the poster boy for it, but at the end of the day, that's the direction we walking toward, is becoming wealthy to the level that it's not gonna go away, and that, you know, we create a situation that it lasts longer than us.
I've always feel like one of the things I admire about you the most is you're always very forward thinking.
Right.
You were on a panel at Complex Con. What are some of the takeaways that you would want people to know about like digital currency? Or
It's a way to think about money. It was 3 or 4 different perspectives. I was one of them, and the convo was just about what is money in 2017 going into 18. You know, is it paper? You know, is it agreed value? What makes something currency? You know, so that was what the debate was, and everybody was revolving around that as a question. But just cryptocurrency is, I think it's like a form of karma. I think that the banks had such a crooked model that the engineers and software designers and programmers was like, we're not gonna fix this with a protest. We're not gonna fix this with a march on Wall Street. We're gonna fix this with technology. And they created a equalizer that just, it checkmated the whole game. You know, that's my view on it. It's just like the energy balancing out what went wrong over there, and just the disadvantage that the people were at. The cryptocurrency's balancing that out, or will in the long run. It's gonna take a while, but it's gonna create an option, and you're not gonna have to go operate in that system that led to like 2008, all the banks collapsing and the real estate bubble and all the malpractice of power that, you know, was happening in the banking industry and the central banks and all that. So it's like, damn, that was slick. Whoever came up with that was slick. If you really peep it from a political point of view,
for sure.
you know what I mean? That was real effortless checkmate. You know what I mean? They exited before anybody knew what was up.
And it still got bailed out.
You know what I'm saying?
It's crazy. It's interesting conversation. I've had it with some people, and you know, some people are like stuck on money so much, and I'm like, man, money's not even backed by the gold system anymore.
Yeah.
So it's like, what is it really worth? It's whatever we, you know, want to put on it, but really it's just a piece of paper, you know, just like a credit card, just a piece of plastic, and it's the inferred value that we put on it, and as long as everybody assumes that it's worth that, it is. But if somebody tomorrow's like, that's not worth shit, it's really not backed by anything. So it's like, why not try out a new currency?
It's a lot of reasons that, you know, political reasons why it's a big thing, and it's financial reasons why it's a big thing, you know, and even like on a simple level of like sending money overseas or something, to be able to do that peer-to-peer and not have no middleman with a fee, and with a policy, it's just a direct transaction that's, you know, regulated by a public ledger. That's a big innovation if you understand like banking and PayPal and all that type of shit. You know, somebody told me that it's like what the internet was in like the early 90s. And think about what that turned into and all the billion-dollar businesses that was built off of that. That's like what the cryptocurrency, blockchain opportunity is similar to. So it'll take a while before we see it mature and really turn into what it can potentially be.
Right, and you're not just talking about it; you actually invested in the company.
Yeah, definitely. Follow coin. It's a coin, and it's also it's a utility. You know, and I spoke about it and everything.
Yeah, there's a dope documentary on YouTube about it.
Yeah, definitely.
Let's get back to the album real quick. You got Puff on some ad libs.
Yeah.
Why was that important to you?
You know, I think what Puff represent is like elevated taste, like in terms of like hip hop, like, you know what I mean, from like fashion to music to like business, you know what I mean? Puff taste was always like premier. And so, you know, I just was like, it'll be dope. And Puff just known for putting swag on a dope rap record. You know what I'm saying? And so I just wanted to play the album for him. You know what I'm saying? I went by the house and played the album, and that was the one he fucked with the most. And so I had it in mind for him to get on Rap Niggas. You know what I'm saying? And get in the video with the Mink on. But he liked the other record, so he did that one, and it was dope. That was a crazy session.
You could feel the energy.
Yeah.
Seeing from the outside what you're trying to build with the store and with like the project that you got going on in LA and like all that stuff, I'm like, okay, I see the dynasty that he's building. So I was like, maybe, you know, Puff being on the record also means something to him in terms of...
Yeah, definitely. It's the record called Young Niggas, and if you hear it, you know, the people hear it, and I think they'll make the connection to why Puff makes sense on that record. But yeah, for sure, Puff ran a marathon in real life. You know what I mean? I got Puff on the last song on TMC. You know what I mean? A clip of him in a documentary, and he represent the self-made, you know what I mean, street mogul. You know what I'm saying? That came up through hip hop. You know what I'm saying? So I got lyrics where I reference Puff grind. So yeah, we always aspired to do what Puff did. You know what I'm saying? What Jay and them did, and what Snoop and Dre and them did. You know. So yeah, definitely one of the blueprints for sure.